Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from my favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back, everyone, to my YouTube channel. I am KJ and I'm your host, and today is the spoiler review for the new FX series by Hulu, Alien Earth, Episode 8 spoiler review / the season finale of Season 1 of Alien Earth spoiler review. So, if you have not seen Season 1 of Alien Earth, pause this, but before you go and watch that amazing series, could you hit the thumbs up button? That would help my YouTube channel outgrow, and I truly appreciate that, and I thank you guys in advance. Come back and let me know what you think about Episode 8 of Alien Earth, which all 8 episodes are available now on Hulu / Disney Plus. If you got the bundle or not, who knows. But they're all available now, and again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with dead body of Arthur, and the xenomorph is checking it out, and it was kind of funny to see this little crab. He was ready to fight this xenomorph, which is like a lot bigger, a lot taller than this little crab, and it was ready to throw claws at it. Like, that was pretty funny. But the xenomorph's running wild. Half of the security is getting destroyed by this creature. The scene with Wendy and the others is very interesting to me, as my favorite moment besides seeing the xenomorph in action. Wendy breaks down the story of Peter Pan and explains that Cavalier doesn't want them to grow up. And it's my favorite moment because it was scary and chilling, right? But the dialogue gave me chills as well. It's like, wow, these actors and actresses are really putting on their best performance in this series. Obviously, they'll do that more great shows and great movies in their careers, obviously. But this one was just really good, and it really explains, like, how the story of Peter Pan and Neverland is, you know, in reality, you can never do it like that because these kids do want to grow up while the boy genius doesn't, right? And that's what she's trying to explain, and, like, that's why their names are these names from those characters from that book. And you know, it makes them wonder if they want to even be called that. Some want to be like, hey, don't even call me that no more. Call me by my actual name, you know. And that was the idea of setting up this performance, this dialogue, and this scene. You know, they're not scared of the xenomorph. They're not scared about what's going to happen. They're already confident what they're going to do with this thing when we find out, right? And it was good. You can see the emotion with these characters as well. And they decided to go rogue. And Cavalier is mad, like he's going like a mad scientist mode. And he wanted to trap he said Adam, but I think he meant Joe. I think he was trying to trap Joe with that eyeball, right? And they've been teasing the idea of putting this eyeball creature into a human's body or face or in the eye socket of a human and see if it could talk and communicate. And they've been teasing that, and, you know, I wonder what that's going to be, but he was trying to find a weaker person so this creature couldn't, you know, get any stronger. And you know what's interesting? They teased, like, when we find out that the guy that serves Cavalier was, like, actually his dad, who was drunk and stuff. And he kind of hinted that he erased his own father's memory so he don't remember, but he turned his own dad into a artificial intelligent, you know, body. And I guess he did murder his own dad too, because he was an abusive father and stuff. And it also just shows, like, I thought it was really strange that they would use ADHD to be what motivates him to do the stuff he's been doing. And you hear that from Chris on his perspective. And I thought his ego was just hurt more out of that. And we see Wendy hacked in the system. And I tell you what, like, between the ADHD moment and then Wendy hacking into the system, I thought it was strange and a odd motivation to it. But and what I mean by that is, like, why does it gotta be ADHD? And, like, if Wendy's that so well advanced, why is it taking her this long to hack into stuff and be indestructible? Like, I get they're trying to tease and foreshadow maybe a season 2 of this, of course, which I don't even know if they're going to do that. I haven't heard any announcements, but if they do, obviously, I'm going to do a spoiler review for all those episodes. But I thought it was strange, and it's not a big deal, really. But it's like, okay, if instead of always showing more scenes of her trying to hack in and spy, show more scenes of, like, what this xenomorph is doing, because they don't show it. To me, they didn't show these creatures enough, right? Like, it found the little other baby xenomorph, which it kind of grew already, but I wish they showed a more full scene of these xenomorphs finding each other than just showing Winnie just scrolling through, right? Or just give more of the other characters who was locked up a chance, right? But, they unlocked the door and they went off and they let Marrow go off his little way and do what he was going to do. But they seem to have a mutual agreement going on, right? And unexpectedly, one of the characters kind of gave advice to Wendy as well, which I thought was really cool, to forgive Joe. But throughout this episode, it just seems like she's having a hard time to forgive Joe because she's upset that this is how, as she put it, humans act, and she can't trust them, and she only trusts these alien creatures because she doesn't know who she is as a person. She don't recognize her identity, and obviously for reasons wise, but all of them do. Even that's why Nibs is the way she is, but she is set on destroying Sylvia, which she does. And we finally get that fight scene between Marrow and Krish. And Marrow pretty much whooped Krish's ass so bad. And, like, I mean, he snapped his back, his spine, right? But Krish outsmart his ass and put him in sleeper hold, right? But then, like, Krish gets tied up and they take Marrow back, and I thought that was pretty interesting too. And another thing that I like too, they showed in this episode, like, Joe was about to get trapped with this eyeball, but Wendy saves him. And it was unclear what she was going to do, but she saved Joe, but she doesn't forgive Joe. But and in that scene too, they tease the idea of that eyeball going to Calvier's dad's, like, body, but it's an artificial intelligent body. And from what they show through this whole season is these creatures don't react to the AIs or the cyborgs. It seems like you just gotta be all born human, all natural human, I guess is the word. So it's that, but the eyeball just kind of hid out and disappeared, and we haven't seen that eyeball ever since that throughout the rest of the episode. And Joe is struggling to explain how life is, but at the end of this episode, Wendy decides to say we're going to rule. I don't know if she's going to rule the world, but it was a very dramatic thing. But like I kind of figured, I felt like the Xenomorph were going to win. We're going to be the last one standing. And I was right. I mean, everybody everybody who was part of this group is locked up, and Meryl got re-locked up with them, I believe. But they left it open that a season 2 could happen. So overall of season 1 in this episode, I think this was a great season, and it's a great prequel to what's to come within that franchise, right, of Alien franchise. And this filled in a lot of gaps of like maybe questions that just never got answered throughout the other movies that they made in the past, but this answers it. This builds up and leads up to what motivates the other characters from those movies to do what they do from that, right? This kind of sets up the characters that we don't see in this film because they're more in the present time in this particular timeline. So there's that. They did a really good job with that. And this gave a more in-depth of like how Earth was within this universe. It's obviously corrupted. It's been changed, and AI is a thing there. And you transfer your soul and conscience to a new body, and you just get rid of the old one. And what's really is in this Earth, they're all kids. There's adults, but it's hard to tell who was originally a kid and who's an adult. But they also tease the idea, and I believe the way Wendy explained it too, that I liked the idea that, and I figured it could be this too, and I think it could. But the boy genius, aka Calvier, I think he was originally a grown man. Now he's in a boy's body. But I know, as he explained, that he, as a child, stabbed his own drunk, abusive father, and then like transferred his body into transfer his soul and conscience into an artificial, intelligent body, which would be like his right-hand man or a servant and stuff. So there's that. I did like that, and I like it just, what it does to me is, if you rewatch any other movies in the timeline order, Planet Earth is the weakest, and for obvious reasons. Obviously, to the alien race, but also just weakest as a human society, because what made them really lose, what made this company lose, was themselves. Corrupt leaders becoming obsessed with something and losing sight of the main goal of what he was doing this. And then just ideally everybody that worked for him, the boy genius, their hearts started changing because they grew very close and created a bond with some of these kids who got transferred into adult bodies and stuff. And obviously, some didn't care. They treated it like an experiment, but some grew very close and just wanted to protect them. They still had a heart. Some just cared about their safety. And obviously, like, Joe is in the right place. I think now is, how do you convince somebody like Wendy that he wasn't trying to hurt Nibs? He wasn't trying to hurt nobody. He just wanted to stop the violence. But even like, because Wendy doesn't understand that those soldiers who in this episode got eaten up by another alien type creature, that was his friends. For years he bonded with them, and she doesn't realize that because they've been so far away. And so Joe has to realize, like, she's not the little girl the little sister that he knows and loves, because she's changed. Life has changed her. These experiments and situations have changed her. And this is Wendy's perspective view on life. And I think Joe knew that deep down inside. So I really love the ideal metaphor they used throughout this season, especially with Peter Pan, right? Like, she doesn't want to be Wendy. She wants to be somebody, right? And maybe she might be the queen or the mother of a xenomorph. She might just create a new body that resembles the xenomorphs. Like, that's a theory I heard, and I like the theory so much I wanted to share it on here. But I like that idea that could go that route. And I like that, that Wendy is gonna she just says we're gonna rule the company or rule the world, who knows? But they left it open. And you know what, for the horror to this, like the scary stuff, like Halloween theme, like, I think they did an excellent job. Like, this is a show you could watch on Halloween weekend, Halloween week, whatever, and enjoy it, And this has some scares. I love throughout each episode, there is jump scares. Like, you didn't know if that character was in danger, and when you didn't think that character was in danger, they're in danger, and they got by the alien creatures. And there a little bit in this episode, art was imitating life, and to say, with some of the dialogue that was mentioned in these episodes about how Wendy perceives humans on Earth, like, it kind of relates to today's in a way, but it makes sense. And as far as the cast members, I think they all did such a great job bringing these characters to life. I thought, what a hell of a performance. They all did so great. The actors and actresses, they all did so well. And, they really made this show the most, like, especially the human characters, they really did it. And, besides Wendy, Marrow was my favorite character. Chris was my favorite character. And I would say Slightly was my favorite character. I like those characters so much. They were fun to watch. Really, I was always really excited to see these characters in each episode. And when they focused a lot of scenes on those particular characters, it was nice. Because to give you an idea, like, they're all, in their own way, have their own opinions. They still feel and recognize the emotions and feelings they have. And they all have a past. And no matter what, if they're now in new bodies that are way much better and they're cancer-free or whatever, they still are humans. There's still people inside. Even Marrow's story, like, the reason why he's doing everything he's done, like, I don't blame him for it at times. You can kind of care for him, feel bad for him, but also you can like hope that he comes to his demise at some point if it needed to, right? But it's just one of those good characters to love and hate at the same time. But I think that's a character that can have redemption and be forgiven, right? I think Slightly would be the one to approve that if it does. So that's what I get out of it too. And honestly, the one thing I nitpick a lot is they don't show enough xenomorphs. You got to show what this whole show is called, Alien Earth. Show us more aliens. I wish there was more full-grown size. I wish there was the giant size coming down to Earth and attacking. Like, I wish we seen more of that. But that's my only nitpick about season 1 of Alien Earth. But other than that, as far as episode 8 as an ending, as like the final episode for season 1, 1 out of 10, I'm going to give it a a 6. Really great ending, really great beginning. The middle was a little bit sloppy, but it got to the point. It made its point, and we got to there. I thought, this was the episode where the big bosses, the big CEOs, were all gonna like get killed off the show, but it looks like these characters who are locked up, they might have another plan, another story to go with them if they do a season 2, which I don't know if they are, but that'd be crazy not to do a season 2 for Alien Earth. But that's just me. Who knows? As far as when I'm recording this, I haven't heard any updates from it. So, but I hope they would do a season 2 since they're keeping these particular characters alive. And who knows where we're gonna go with this? But I liked it, and again, this is a great show. This is a real good prequel show that leads up to the movie franchise of Aliens. So I think this is really good put together. I think the director did a great job. And you know what, this for 2025, as far as series, this is probably my top 5 series or shows that I like for this year, 2025, was definitely Alien Earth. So that's my review, y'all. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment Official Channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.